What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Shiny Shuriken video, and we are here for your Commissioner recap. Let's get into it. Week 2 was a fantastic week for the PWD. Pokemon World Domination was in full swing with some premier matchups. The number 1 and 2 in the power rankings, both picking up a 1-0 win in week 1, so both technically undefeated. Matched up in week 2, and it was a great match. It let us pick for once and for all who the number 1 was. We'll jump into that here. The Siamwood City Quagsires and that undefeated Coach Ryan, the Season 1 champion, still coming on strong. Had a very strong showing in Week 2. And then we had a couple of other great matches and some amazing plays that we're going to be checking out today. So we're going to go ahead and jump into your Week 2 recap right now. Our first highlight of the week is from the Tokyo Toxapex, traveling up and taking on the Manchester Mimikyu. Coach James brought the scummiest of Whimsicots, rocking that Leech Seed substitute combo, utilizing Prankster to kind of get out in front of a Pokemon that it normally wouldn't be able to sit in front of. Coach James did take a little bit of advantage of Coach Peekaboo's battle and experience, Coach Peekaboo being a newer coach to, I think, draft leagues and just kind of battling overall, not understanding the full extent of what can be done in each turn. Staying in with the Charizard, allowing the Leech Seed to continue to sap life from that Charizard, letting the Whimsicott live. And that combo with the Leech Seed leftovers recovery each turn is allowing James to continue to sub in front of the Charizard, as you're seeing the progression of just sub, flamethrower, just back and forth, while the Charizard is slowly being whittled away by Leech Seed. Now, Coach James's Whimsicott is not netting out a positive health. It is losing just a little bit, so it's also being chipped away just slightly. But the Charizard is losing more health than the Whimsicott, so on the slowest of stall strategies, it is working to the advantage of Coach James. However, there are definitely advantageous moves that Coach Peekaboo can make here, especially in the form of Dynamaxing. Coach Peekaboo was under the impression that he could not Dynamax or Gigantamax, which this is a Gigantamax Charizard, because he was holding a Choice Scarf item. Now, of course, he absolutely can. He would set off the Wildfire. The residual damage from the Wildfire would keep helping to break down and take out the Whimsicott here and offsetting the Leech Seed and leftovers recovery. However, it's a really tough set to break through if you're not sure how else to play around it. Whimsicott was also set up with Giga Drain to also help get recovery as well on switches. If a coach makes the plays to just continue switching off of the Leech Seed, it does kind of stall out the strategy, but Whimsicott also able to do some more. Coach Peekaboo does go for the switch up here to bring in Frostmoth and get Charizard out of there after Charizard has taken a little more, less than half of damage. Frostmoth comes in, and actually this is a phenomenal play from Coach Peekaboo. I don't think he knew why it was a phenomenal play, but it is actually a phenomenal play. So Coach James is safely behind a sub, able to set the Leech Seed again. And the thing that Coach Peekaboo doesn't know is that Bug Buzz actually goes around the substitute. Now, Coach Peekaboo absolutely could have gone for some Quiver Dances here, started setting up, because the Whimsicott has shown that it can't do much other than substitute and Leech Seed. So he could have easily gotten the Frostmoth set up, sent that Bug Buzz around the substitute, because sound-based moves go around the substitutes, and he could have probably KO'd the Whimsicott there, maybe after one, even possibly without a Quiver Dance needed, but also a good opportunity to set up that Quiver Dance. And put himself in a position where he could have also used this Frostmoth to potentially sweep if it got set up well enough, still having that Dynamax potential. So, again, making switches and trying to move around, Peekaboo is doing anything he can to try and break this scummy stall set, and it truly is a tough portion of the match. Feel free to go check out that replay over on Coach Peekaboo's page, which will be linked below. Coach Peekaboo and Coach James had a phenomenal match. So let's go ahead and hop over and see how the end highlights were. A really great match unfolded in Manchester as the Tokyo Toxapex traveled over and took on Coach Peekaboo and the Manchester Mimikyu. Coach James came out with the stall team this week, bringing out, of course, the Toxapex with the Toxic Baneful Bunker and Recover with that Regenerator ability, always tough to break, but also bringing in a new Stallmon with Whimsicott. Whimsicott was rocking, of course, that Prankster ability, but then the Substitute Leech Seed combo with the Held Item of Leftovers, which permits the Whimsicott to kind of stay in on a Pokemon if it gets set up well enough to hit that Leech Seed, be getting the Leech Seed recovery, the Leftovers recovery each turn, giving it the ability to just kind of sub out on the damage that's going off on the opponent. If they're able to get off something else, so they're like something like a Toxic with the Toxapex, this can really add up on a opponent. It did cause some havoc for Coach Peekaboo, as he referred to it as tilt, which we'll go with. It is definitely an annoying tactic and one that's very tough to break if you aren't ready for it. Coach Peekaboo did have a couple of misplays in his arsenal there this week, where he did forget that he can Dynamax and Gigantamax while a Pokemon is holding a choice item. He was under the impression that he could not. So had the Charizard stayed in on the Whimsicott longer and then Dynamax, Gigantamax, and set off that G-Max Wildfire, it would have been massive damage out on the Whimsicott and put a stop to that stall tactic from Coach James. The G-Max Wildfire, of course, giving that damage each and every turn, while also rocking massive damage from the G-Max Wildfire, would have been putting him into a tough position to stay in with that Whimsicott, forcing him to switch and change up his game plan. Of course, there was more Pokemon in the bag, but this, unfortunately, because of some of that stall, did end up going to timer. But the Manchester Mimikyus pick up their first win of the season with an HP win in the 3-3 timer, with Coach Peekaboo getting his first win in a draft league, I do believe. Comment and let me know if I'm wrong, Peekaboo. Coach James is, of course, still looking for that first victory after week 2, going to 0-2, while the Manchester Mimikyu moved to 1-1. So congratulations to Coach Peekaboo on that win. And best of luck to both of these coaches in their future matchups. But we're going to actually hop into a coach interview with James right now from the Tokyo Toxapex. So let's kick it over there. Okay, here with us today for a quick coach interview is Coach James of the Tokyo Toxapex. Coach James, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about yourself, Mac?
Doing well, thank you for asking. Well, glad to have you here, James. We just want to ask you a couple of questions about your matchup in Week 2. It appeared from the Pokemon builds that Stall seemed to be a part of the game plan. In your opinion, what percentage was Stall supposed to play as a win con for you in this matchup in Week 2 against the Manchester Mimikyu?
Win con-wise, I think 10%. Really, my Whimsicott stall was meant to burn out Charizard's G-Max because I was scared of it. He had Dragon Pulse for my Haxorus, and of course, Scorching Sands hurts half my team. So that's where the stall came in play. I also didn't prep for all the Pokemon he brought, which put me on the defensive. So I felt like the offensive that I did bring wasn't going to work out for what he brought. So I just went into defensive mode and did what Toxapex does.
We've all been there, of course, and you're exactly right. Charizard getting access to that new Scorching Sands, giving him a special ground-type move and making him just that much more of the offensive threat that he has always been. James, in your opinion, then, what's some of the adjustments that we can expect from your team in the coming weeks?
I've gotten together with my team, you being a part of that team, and we've been discussing, I think it's pretty apparent that my team has a weakness to ground. And I need to make some team adjustments to that. That way I can get some safe switch-ins, because that's where I was really hurting. When the opponents are firing off Scorching Sands and other ground moves, knowing that it's going to hurt something that I bring in my head, I know if I switch out into something, it's probably going to get one-hit KO'd. So I need to make some adjustments towards what my weaknesses are, which are ground.
Absolutely. Will we be seeing Ninjask more?
Yeah, I should have brought Ninjask. He performed really well against Bishme. Well, he could have. He had the potential to,
Yep.
And that acrobatics is such a great move on him. So I think I need to start utilizing him more. Maybe I can bring him in and predict some ground moves and get a free swap in. Who knows? I think I do need to utilize him more.
Absolutely. So, final question for you, Coach James. Will we be seeing the substitute Leech Seed prankster Whimsicott anymore this season?
You know, probably not. It didn't really pan out the way I would have liked. Um, it was a goofy set meant to really sort of burn away a Pokemon's Dynamax or Gmax, and you know what? It still can do that if I'm afraid of that particular Dynamax or Gmax. But really, other than that, had no other use besides exactly that.
It was a tough set to break through, and definitely, let's bring the word back. As Coach Peekaboo had stated on their replay, definitely causing some of the tilt in the matchup, and just a very tough set to break through. So, all right, thank you very much for joining us today, Coach James, and best of luck in your coming matches.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and look forward to doing another interview with you.
Premier matchup of the week did not disappoint. Coach Bloud and Coach Bishme went at it in a battle of the top two in the power rankings. Rhydon used perfectly here by Coach Bishme to counter the Gmax Cinderace, which is just a threat with that Libero ability, of course. But you guys, this is why we play a Dynamax League. This is why people should not be afraid of Dynamax. It is easily countered and easily stopped. There are absolutely some busted abilities on here with the ability to increase your attacks, your stats, drop your opponent's stats, and all sorts of stuff. But this is played superbly by Coach Bishme here as the Rhydon comes in and takes the Max Airstream perfectly. Then Dynamaxing with the Max Guard to stop this Cinderace from setting up too much. Stopping a Max Knuckle, which would be super effective and allow him to get a +2 with 2 Max Knuckles going off on this Rhydon. But the Max Guard stops it, makes it only 1. The damage is minimal as this Rhydon's max HP, max defense, and with an impish nature, so that plus defense nature is also helping out. It goes for one of the attacks and then opts for, on the last turn here, as the Cinderace comes out, Coach Bishme wants to play some prediction and go for the Max Guard to have the Cinderace KO itself with High Jump Kick. However, here is where Coach Bishme kind of made a mistake, as the High Jump Kick didn't have a chance to KO, whereas Max Quake definitely KO'd a fighting-type Cinderace, and Carlos plays it super well and goes for the Bulk Up instead. So this would have been a free KO on Cinderace for Coach Bishme, and just a slight misplay as both coaches playing wonderful predictions. But Coach Carlos wasn't done making great predictions, as he got outplayed here with the easy switch in for Bisharp. However, trying to make a decision of what to switch on the Sucker Punch and trying to make that right play. However, making the call that he's not going to go Sucker Punch and he's going to go Knockoff, and he's going to stay in with the Alolan Raichu and actually go ahead and KO this Bisharp with a phenomenal play in the match that really kind of sealed it for Coach Carlos and the Immortal Drampa. The premier matchup of the week sees the Immortal Drampa snagging the victory in this clash of the number 1 and number 2 in the power rankings. Coach Carlos is able to guide his Immortal Drampa over Coach Bishme and the New York Nickets. Coach Carlos picking up that clean 3-0 victory. It was a great match. Some key highlights are really the ending plays where Raichu was able to come in on a late game sweep under that electric terrain with that Surge Surfer ability and pick up 4 kills while also not going down. Interesting play, and props to Coach Carlos for trying to call it out. With Bishme going for the potential Sucker Punch, but opting to go for Knockoff, staying in and getting the KO on Bisharp, who could have definitely taken down the Raichu and made the match a little bit closer, but probably still putting that favor into Coach Carlos, where the Hawlucha was still in the bag and able to come in under that electric terrain, get that unburden. It was a really great play for Coach Carlos at that moment. Coach Bishme was playing well, trying to force some changes and trying to play that late game comeback. Both coaches played extremely well. This was definitely a matchup that didn't disappoint as the premier match for week 2. Bishme's Ninetales, of course, came in clutch, picking up 3 kills to 1 death. And also missed a couple of times. The first miss didn't matter too much, being that the Cinderace ended up getting parried, so kind of a free turn. And then the second miss resulting in a para from Pincurchin, but that Ninetales showing how absolutely strong it can be one-shotting a Pincurchin with Overheat in the Sun. So absolutely a very strong and devastating move from that Ninetales. So great match to both coaches. The Immortal Drampa will surpass the New York Nickets as the number one in the power rankings. Undoubtedly after that commanding win. And we will see how they fare in the coming weeks. So best of luck again to both coaches in your matchups. Things didn't go well for the Atlanta Sobble as a double dancing Drapion got on the loose, getting that agility up, moving through the swords dance. But hey, you know what? Let's put it to sleep and sing it a lullaby, and that'll make everything okay. Tangrowth hitting that sleep powder. All right, now we've got a sleeping Drapion. It's fast and strong, but you know what? Let's bring in Aegislash and hit it hard. We get that guaranteed turn of sleep. But you know what? Let's go ahead and attack this thing and see what we can do. Oh crap, it woke up. And there goes Aegislash. So, well, that one didn't work. How about Colberberry Xatu? Nope, that didn't work either. Let's go, Tangrowth. You can do it. Living that crit, you beast. Let's get this thing back to sleep. How about that? I guess maybe not. So, okay. How about Salazzle? Nope, that didn't work either. Let's move on to our big guns. You know what, Blastoise? Let's do this. Let's fire off this Max Knuckle. Let's get this thing going. You can do it. I believe in you. You're big. You've got a bunch of guns on your back. You're a big old shell. Hey, look at you living that hit. Way to go. We lost our expert belt, but I don't care. Let's fire off this Max Knuckle. Oh, crap. What is the build of this Drapion? All right. Good job, Blastoise. Living another one. All right. Here we go. Another Max Knuckle. Come on. We're boosted by one. What in the... All right, Blastoise. You did your best. I guess. All right. It blew up. That's what happens when you got guns built into you. All right, Tangrowth. I know you did well that... Oh, crap. All right. Well, this big old lizard, it just really doesn't seem to like me. You know what? We tried our best. Tangrowth, you had a chance. Then he got big, scary. Miltank, you can do it. I believe in you. Oh my God, Miltank, you beast. All right, let's KO this thing. All right, it's super low. We can do it. We can do it. Yes. Oh, come on, Miltank. And that's going to do it. That's going to be it. As the Siamwood City Quagsire traveled to Atlanta, they truly gave the Atlanta Sobble something to sob about. Coach Ryan handing Coach Amoonguss the first 6-0 of the season in just a match that got away. It happens to all of us. Coach Amoonguss did his best to try and pull it back a little bit, but we've all been there. That perfect leadoff, the missed opportunities, and Coach Ryan was able to get off the agility and the swords dance with Drapion, and there was just no looking back for Coach Amoonguss as Drapion continued to just tear through the Atlanta Sobbles team. There were a couple of opportunities where Coach Amoonguss tried to pull it back and played extremely well, getting off some sleep powders and trying to roll that RNG. With a first turn wake up and a missed sleep powder, that was a short-lived dream as the Siamwood City Quagsires tried to turn it into a nightmare. Drapion just wasn't having it and took out this entire team. So definitely look for Coach Amoonguss to come back much stronger next week. Definitely a very strong coach, puts a lot of prep in. But Coach Ryan is a very seasoned draft battler and remaining undefeated in the PWD since Season 1 as our Season 1 champion. Obviously, he knows how to play this game quite well. So let's go ahead and hop into our next match after this one definitely put everybody on notice. The league definitely has to be concerned with this Gyarados that's just rampaging about. The terror from Gen 1 is really causing havoc for opponents, but Coach Shade played magnificently, tricking a lagging tail using the Prankster of Sableye and putting this Gyarados on a guaranteed last turn every turn. Fantastic immobilization of a threat like this, but flipping over to the other side, Coach Arts saw an interesting move from Coach Shade as he didn't go straight into the Toxtricity, but decided to go to the Cinderace and try to play around and put damage out. Coach Shade understanding what he was doing with the Lagging Tail, Coach Arts kind of not understanding that he was now going to be going second every time. Coach Shade made a big misstep in not going straight into the Toxtricity, actually sacrificing Blastoise to get some U-turn chip damage off with Cinderace. Gyarados getting a special defense boost from this Max Quake, and this Gyarados continuing to rampage around. All the while, it has been immobilized by Lagging Tail, which is a fantastic move, however, just not capitalized on by Coach Shade. Coach Shade finally goes into the Toxtricity here, which is a phenomenal option, and a guaranteed Oko with the electric move being quad week for Gyarados. And we see that Coach Shade opts for the Gigantamax of his Gigantamax selection in Toxtricity, which is a great option. You can start getting that thing to go off, and there's some potential for that Pokemon to do some damage to a slower team behind Gyarados. And Coach Shade just not really sure how to capitalize on that Gigantamax after making such a phenomenal play with the Legging Tail. So as we get the Gigantamax to go off here, we see that Coach Shade's decision was to set up the Toxtricity by using Max Ooze and getting that special attack boost, possibly forgetting that the Gyarados has had some special defense boosts from Max Quakes. And the Gyarados takes it just with ease and gets blasted right back with a Earthquake, which is also quad weak, so failing to take care of this threat if the Toxtricity had come out right away. A premier matchup for fans of Arts and Shade of Defeat. That's right, the Lake of Rage Gyarados, coached by Coach Arts, and the Straw Hat Crocodiles, coached by Coach Shade of Defeat, went head-to-head in an epic battle that many, I'm sure, are going to be calling this one a classic for this season. It was a phenomenal battle up until that point where you saw the Prankster get that trick off, and that has to be the play of Week 2. That is absolutely the play of Week 2. Prankster, Legging Tail, Sableye with that trick. So absolutely phenomenal play from Coach Shade, who moves to bring in Toxtricity and fails to go for the Electric Stab and get the KO on the Gyarados to set up his team for the potential win. Both coaches were playing very, very well up until that point, in which Coach Shade just kind of made a giant misplay and kind of gave the match to Coach Arts. Still having Cinderace in the bag, it was played, but played only as well as it could be with what was still remaining on Coach Arts' side. So a great match to both of them. I know that the Arts and Shade fan base always love when those two come together. So we're going to obviously see great things from this team going forward. So the Gyarados picked up 5 kills, huge, of course. Going to be a massive kill leader possible kill leader in the season here, moving to 7-1 overall after the 5-1 victory here today for Gyarados. And that Prankster, Legging Tail, Sableye played extremely well, so look for some great Prankster, Sableye play from Shade in the future. So the Lake of Rage Gyarados go ahead and pick up the 3-0, moving their team to 2-0 on the season, while the Straw Hat Crocodiles fall to 0-2 on the start of the season here. So let's go ahead and hop into our next matchup. Great play from the Stark Mountain Giratinas and the New York Noctowls as Coach Manny makes an adjustment to get some super effective damage off using Rillaboom on the Water-type Slowking. But Coach knew going for the Flamethrower on the Corviknight has an advantageous moment here to be able to hit still super effective on the Rillaboom and do a lot of damage with a little RNG rolling on the Burn and taking away that offensive threat of Rillaboom from Coach Manny. Coach Manny gets Politoed in to set up the rain and bring in Poliwrath, who belly drums and Dynamaxes and is an absolute threat, taking out Whiscash along the way and being able to roll through a couple of Coach New's Pokemon on the New York Noctowls. Going to be able to take out Slowking with the Darkest Lariat Max Darkness here. And that's going to be a great 2-kill for Poliwrath. However, right after the KO, the rain unfortunately does stop from that drizzle effect of Politoed, and that's going to end Poliwrath's ability to kind of sweep as it loses its speed. Darmanitan being able to come in and, of course, going to force out the Poliwrath or get the KO. Coach Manny and his Stark Mountain Giratinas traveled up to New York to take on Coach New and his Noctowls. And another match going up to timer. These matches, I tell you, they're very, very well played out. They are chess matches indeed, but there is still a timer that's going to be rolling these matches in ways that the outcome may not have come out to if we didn't have it. So the Stark Mountain Giratina actually fall on a last-second crit from a Porygon Z, resulting in the KO of Mudsdale and taking away the 5-4 victory from the Stark Mountain Giratinas and snagging the 4-4 HP win for the New York Noctowls, as a couple of Pokemon on the Stark Mountain Giratina's benches were quite low on HP, as Coach Manny tried to preserve some of that differential. Again, another match that just went to timer. These teams are vying for momentum and going back and forth. We definitely do want to see some completion, but when you have such a tough match and great opponents playing like that, this can happen, and unfortunately, it's all Games Freak's fault. So, it's on you, Masuda. But no, Porygon played phenomenally, picking up some big damage hits on Magnectric, living a giant thunder from Magnectric, and then coming back to, of course, pick up that crit KO on the Mudsdale. Poliwrath got off 2 KOs as well, being the surprise star, not surprise star, but star for the Stark Mountain Giratinas, Dynamaxing and getting off some big damage and taking out a couple of opponents along the way. So the New York Noctowls will move up to 1-1, and the Stark Mountain Giratina will fall to 1-1. So great play from both coaches in Week 2. Let's hope to see some strong play from them continuing in Week 3, and let's move on to our next match. Really fun battle between the LA Infernapes and the Nashville Nidokings, as Volcarona got going a little bit, but kind of funny because Coach Sosa actually brought the wrong Volcarona set, but got a huge RNG that actually was massively impactful on this match with the Flame Body activation on, of all mons, Azumarill. Azumarill, the Belly Drum set, rocking that Citrus Berry, was kind of neutralized as well with that Flame Body burn. Absolutely clutch moment for Coach Sosa with that. The Volcarona does get stopped by the Azumarill, but that plays a large part in the final turns of the matchup as Coach Southside makes an amazing prediction, goes for the Superpower on the incoming Copperajah, calls out the switch perfectly, gets massive damage off, but because of the attack drop and, most importantly, because of that Flame Body activation burn, is unable to KO the Copperajah. We have a 3-3 match with just a few seconds left. The second Superpower is just not going to be enough, unfortunately. Fantastic play from both of these coaches. The Power Whip doesn't miss, gets the KO, and Coach Sosa is going to be able to pick up that decisive win. Continuing the trend with Week 2, the opposing team came into town and took this W. The LA Infernates and Coach Sosa snagged the W from under Coach Southside and the Nashville Nidokings, picking up the 3-2 win again on another timer, moving the Nashville Nidokings to 1-1 and the LA Infernates to 1-1. There were some key plays here, most notably the biggest play of the match is definitely the Flame Body activation from Volcarona on Azumarill. That actually played a larger part in this battle than I think anything else in this match, because it meant that the Azumarill was unable to KO at the very end a Copperajah, which would have resulted in possibly the HP win rolling over to Coach Southside. So a key hack win for the LA Infernapes on that Volcarona is huge. Now, there's another thing to call out, though, that the HP would have been up in question because the Coach Southside tried to get up a sub with Dragapult in front of a Dazzling Gleam Roserade, knowing that the Dazzling Gleam was there already. So a kind of a waste of HP there, as the sub was just immediately broken. Next turn, they went for a U-turn and switched out and KO'd the Roserade. So, the HP was a kind of a toss-up, I would say. Sneasel was down to 1 HP, so it would have been interesting to see. However, because of that burn, we don't get to. So Azumarill tried its best, brought Copperajah, I think, down to like 5-ish, 10% from full with 2 superpowers, and just was unable to pick up that victory. So both had a very strong play in Week 2, and I look for big things from both of these coaches in the season here. Bouffalant made his season appearance as a quick shout-out, showing very strong with a 1-1 record, and I'm excited to see that Pokemon go off a little bit more this season as well. So let's go ahead and hop into our final match, in which these two coaches the best in their upcoming matches as well. My Fargo Phalanx took on the Lisbon Arcanines and Coach Squid. It was a fantastic match. We had some good back and forth. I played a little scared because of that ever-frightening Ditto, but G-Max and Talion showed up to play, and man, oh man, I just love this Pokemon. The Crit King himself, wanted to come out and show off his stuff, rocking the scope lens on the G-Max, but of course not having that snipe shot boost. G-Max Inteleon was able to pick up an extremely important crit on this Dynamax Excavalier, which was built to take some of these hits from Inteleon, making it a little less scary. So Sirfetch'd was also playing really strong, busting through a paralysis to get a close combat off on the incoming Colossal. And then a member I was really happy to get going in this week, Hatchram, was just such an easy play here to get the magic bounce ability on the incoming Stealth Rock. So I make a great quick read, in comes Hatchram, and bouncing back those rocks we go. However, Coach Squid was not without his great plays. He had a chance to hit Ninetales with no health left really hard, and not making a bad play of going Sledge Wave. He goes for the nice middle ground with Shadow Ball, so the stab spec Shadow Ball is actually going to OHKO the incoming Sandslash, which never even got a chance to get going. Moving into the final match of the week, we have my own match, the commissioner of the PWD, coach of the Fargo Phalanx, going up against the Lisbon Arcanines and Coach Squid to feed. For this last match, and for my own personal matchup, I'm going to make this a little tiny segment of my weekly recap. We had a great, phenomenal match in week 2 against a really strong opponent, Coach Squid, coming over from the SRL. Very happy and always fun to battle with him. My team stacked up very, very well against this team. It's not going to happen a lot this season, I feel. But I definitely was looking pretty good against his team with Inteleon, Sirfetch'd, Rillaboom looking really, really strong against some of his Pokemon, such as Quagsire, and just Quagsire being a major threat for me, being able to take that thing out, of course. But this match didn't go as well as I thought it would. We ended up with a 4-3 win. We definitely kind of had a commanding position at the end. Sirfetch'd was in a really clutch position to kind of sweep out the rest of the team. And without a timer, I think we would have picked up a 4-0 with Sirfetch'd picking up all of those KOs. There's probably some switching around in there, but I think because we had Scarf Sirfetch'd and knowing what we do after the battle, I think Sirfetch'd was able to clean it up. Ditto was the biggest threat of the match, I would say. From my end, it was tough because Ditto just forced me to switch and made me think. I definitely was thinking Scarf Sirfetch'd was going to be meaning a Scarfed Ditto Sirfetch'd. And that kind of forced me from turn 1 to be switching around without knowing what this item was and knowing what he wanted to do, which he wanted to go to try and set up screens on him, for himself with Aurora Veil, Ninetales, Ditto. It was interesting because I could have just gotten rid of this thing a long time ago and we could have just breezed through the match maybe. But it was definitely a good back and forth. We were doing what we needed to do to try and vie for that momentum, which is what, I say so much of what Pokemon is. So we both played super well. Always fun playing with Coach Squid. Sirfetch'd did really, really well. Hatchram was played superbly with the Magic Bounce to push the rocks back. Walling up on Colossal there and setting up for us, along with a key aromatherapy to get the Paralyze off of Sirfetch'd, which is just huge, and continuing to allow Sirfetch'd to outspeed everything. So very, very good play in week 2 for my team. Still really strong play from the Lisbon Arcanines. Even if Coach Squid doesn't have the perfect plan, one big component of his team is going to be the scary, scary Ditto. So opponents are going to have to be changing up their game plans and playing Pokemon in a different manner because they don't want the Ditto to, steal their stat boost, take their sets, all this stuff. By the time I think we finished up, I think he had seen like 4 different sets of mine out of 6. So something crazy like that. But a really fun match in week 2. I was able to pick up the victory, so the Fargo Phalanx moved to 1-1. The Lisbon Arcanines moved to 0-2, still searching for that win, which I'm sure will come soon enough in the way that they have played in the first 2 weeks. which they could easily have been 2-0 here. So GG's again to Coach Squid. And that's going to do it for our battle recaps, and we're going to toss it over to just a little bit of the Week 2 stats and kind of look around the league. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and hop into the power rankings at the end of Week 2. Some big movement in the league, of course. Following a 6-0, it's tough not to make giant movements for a team. Very commanding win. So, of course, the Sandwood City Quagsires move up from 10 to 2. Huge movement. However, with so much kind of middle ground play between 10 and 2, it was tough to leave this team behind any of the others with such a commanding performance. But this team will have to show up really strong to continue to stay in the top 5, in my opinion. The coach is extremely talented and is proving that they're a strong coach, having been undefeated season 1, champion season 1, and undefeated now after 2 weeks. But this big of a jump in power rankings probably isn't likely too often. But again, respect to the 6-0. Coach Bloud takes the number 1 spot after taking down the New York Nickets with the Immortal Drampa. So moving up from 2 to 1. Just a very strong team. Preseason had a strong ranking as well. It's a great team here, led by G-Max Cinderace and then that Electric Terrain core. So look for big things from this team. Coach Arts and the Lake of Rage Gyarados move up to 3. Thanks to a key misplay from Shade of Defeat, they were able to seal a really dominant win. They still had a great opportunity to win the match out, even if Gyarados had gone down right away, but still a strong team and one that's going to have some tougher challenges ahead of it here. Bishmi and the New York Nickets fall to number 4 from number 1, just off of kind of where the other performances were. Jumping down, looking through the other remaining teams here, through the next several teams, a lot of kind of unanimous middle ground play is kind of how I'm wanting to word it. Good movement for some of the coaches, just kind of a few here and there. The Stark Mountain Giratina drop 4 spots, actually, just because of another timer loss or a timer situation, and then also the loss on top of it. So that one, of course, tough, but they fall backwards a little while. Coach Sosa, with extremely strong play, is bringing the Los Angeles Infernapes up. They are looking like a very, very strong team. Coach Peekaboo picking up his first win, gets some movement. The Atlanta Sobble, of course, a large drop, not as large as the gain for the Sandwood City Quagsire, but of course, getting 6-0'd, we'll see a drop in the power rankings. Coach Squid still looking for that win, and definitely going to do some good things in this league because the play is extremely strong, so it's hard to leave them so low, but I do expect them to rebound. And the Straw Hat Crocodiles, falling 6 spots to number 13, just not showing that they have what it takes to finish up the match. And the Tokyo Toxapex, just again another loss to what was prior the bottom ranked team, falling down to the bottom. So that's your power rankings after Week 2. That's going to do it here for our Week 2 Commissioner Recap. This is an evolving series that I want to keep running each week. This will actually be coming to you the week after each week that we go through, because I'm waiting for matches to get put up so that we have all the footage and we can get you guys all those highlights and clips. But I do also want to make sure that at the very end, I also want to tell you guys a little bit about who won Coach of the Week and MVP. We do run a Coach of the Week for, who just had the superb play, and also an MVP. And those are kind of typical for a draft league. So without further ado, the MVP, or not the MVP, but the Coach of the Week for Week 2. It's pretty easy, you guys. It has to go to the Sandwood City Quagsires and Coach Ryan over here. So congratulations to Coach Ryan on that Week 2 Coach of the Week. And MVP, of course, falls right along with it. And kind of an easy brainer here, or no-brainer here as well. We've got Drapion over here. So Drapion, stand up and give a bow. With that 6-0 performance, it really couldn't go to anyone else other than Ryan and Drapion. Other teams played phenomenally well, but Ryan picking up a 6-0, that's a commanding performance that you can't ignore. So congratulations to both player and coach. And finally, I do want to call out a Play of the Week as well. Play of the Week goes to Coach Shade of Defeat from the Straw Hat Crocodiles with the Prankster Lagging Tail. That is just such a phenomenal play. It immediately crippled Coach Arts' Gyarados and set Coach Shea to defeat up to take the victory. However, in our following segment, you'll find out what happened is that we're going to move on to the Blunder of the Week. Blunder of the Week also goes to Coach Shade as they immediately brought in Toxtricity and did not KO the Gyarados. Went to set up with Max Ooze. And immediately got OHKO'd by the Gyarados. So knowing that Lagging Tail sets you to the absolute last move of every turn, the Toxtricity was guaranteed to go first. They Gigantamax, which is the right move, but didn't take out the threat that was Gyarados and allowed Gyarados to continue to try and sweep through the team. Pulled it back. The difference would have been that the Toxtricity would still be there, and along with another Pokemon that got KO'd that I can't remember at the moment, but yeah, that's definitely the Blunder of the Week. Top Play of the Week and Blunder both go to Shade, as that was a fantastic match that I think could have been within the Straw Hat Crocodile's reach had they have played the Toxtricity right. So good luck to you in your upcoming matches. To both our MVP, our Coach of the Week, and our Play of the Week and Blunder of the Week. So that'll do it again for the Commissioner recap in week 2. Pokemon World Domination Draft League is in full effect, and I'm loving it. I hope you guys are enjoying the content. Make sure to leave a comment below if you guys had any favorite moments from week 2. And make sure to hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe and keep on coming back for more Shiny Shuriken content along with Pokemon World Domination Draft League. And we will see you guys in week 3.